Welcome, everybody, to our brand new show, Stock Market Wrap. I'm here with my good friend, Spencer Israel, and my other good friend, Hector Garcia.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Hector, new face. Welcome to the stream.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Happy to be here.
Okay, Aaron Bree. This was fun. Everyone have a great rest of your day. I'm just kidding.
All right.
So let's start off just with a quick intro to the audience, Hector.
Yeah.
Give the audience some background when you started trading, what your job was like before that, and we'll go from there.
My job is still teaching stats and calculus in community colleges. That's still what I do now. But ever since COVID came around, I haven't had a live class since the pandemic began. So I've been conducting all my work here, and I'm not on lectures for very long, relatively speaking, not necessarily every day. So I had a lot of time, like in the morning, to finally dedicate to actively trying to manage my investments. I really started in August, but I pretty much just put some money down and left it alone. Didn't check on it again till like November or something, and went from there. But in earnest, I really didn't start investing, or at least trading, I should say, until January. Since then, I've managed to double my portfolio, and I just try to use what I know about math and statistics, what I know about science in general, because one of my bachelors is in math and physics, so there is a little bit of a scientific understanding when it comes to things like tech stocks. I'm especially interested in biopharm stocks, and that's where I've been making most of my money up until now. But yeah, that's me.
I'm just curious, when you started investing, when you first started, what did you put your money in and why?
QUBT, QUBT. It is a company, and in fact, I was just selling shares of it yesterday. It's a company that, when I first read it, I thought, "Oh my God, like this thing is going to be."
Do I have it right? Is that it?
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
It's going to be astronomical. What it was a company that could take your current business software on your end and redo the code so that the software could use quantum optimization.
I don't know.
So it's a bridge. Well, quantum optimization for quantum computers.
Okay.
So you know how quantum computers are coming online, and people can actually rent time on them and solve like some problems on them. Amazon Web Services has connections to a bunch of quantum computers out there that you can rent time on if you want. And so the idea here is that this net of quantum computers would be available, and that people weren't quite ready to make the full commitment to switching their systems to quantum, but there'd be like a transition period between classical and quantum. And so what QUBT was all about was about trying to fill that gap. Like, how do we use the stuff that works really good right now for doing this business application, and how can we optimize certain parts of it or certain things of it easily, quickly, into something that could be ran on a quantum computer for faster speed.
All right, so
calculation.
Okay, so what happened here? Did nothing happen? You're still in it, and
well, I mean, I've never been married to any stock.
Okay,
Sava's the closest thing that I've ever been married to, but even that, I still like trade like almost every day. And I decided, you know what, I can give QUBT one more shot. It released like some forms after being quiet for like a year, so I'm like, just for old time's sake, let me throw in another $500 at it.
Hold on. So you said you bought it in last summer.
No, I bought it last summer.
So you were up. At one point, you were up a lot of money.
No, I wasn't, because I sold because it wasn't doing shit.
But Hector, you said you sold some shares of this yesterday.
Oh, I mean, like I said, I'm in and out of different stocks all the time. Okay. But this initial slow investment was me buying $500 worth of QUBT, and after like a month or two or something like that. I like checked back on it. I think it was down to like $4. So like my 500 went to 400, and I'm like, whatever. Like,
Okay, so you got
I
out.
don't have time for this. Yeah, so I
Okay.
got out.
But you were back in and sold shares yesterday, you said?
Yeah, I was back in a couple of days ago. Not a whole lot, like $500 worth. Again,
So
just for old time's sakes, just for
So
fun.
did you have some FOMO seeing that it was up 20% today?
No, because I actually sold on my way up.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Take some profits. That's the way to do
Yeah.
it.
I took some profits every step of the way so far. I still have one order left, and that's kind of like my thing too. It's how do we minimize the possibility for losses, and how do we try to keep as many gains as we can get, so that we have that constant increase in the percentage of your account, which can then in turn be reinvested to continue to grow the account.
Yeah, someone once told me you can't go broke taking profits.
Exactly.
Haven't tested that myself, but it sounds good. Sounds like good logic.
Spencer doesn't think so.
No, I agree. I shook my head at Aaron. Wait, okay. So Hector, tell us. So that wasn't the first thing you bought, but that was last year. Tell us about like what kind of stocks you trade now. You said you like biotech, but what kind of stocks do you trade?
So I mean, originally when I started to get serious about this, I began trying to hit home runs, right? So buying a lot of penny. Sometimes I did well, sometimes I didn't. I think from the very beginning, I've always had a good sense of money management and trying to control my losses as much. I'm not always great with it, but I think usually I'm pretty averse to losing too much money. So there was no penny stock that like taught me a lesson. Don't ever come back here again. Nothing like that ever happened. So I started trading penny stocks, but like I said, it was so sketchy. I started deciding, you know what? Let me take at established companies that are names. They are making money. They're hot, and so I started looking into AMD. I started looking into TSM, the microchip companies, and so I started getting into those. This was a while back. I was able to make pretty good money off of AMD and pretty good money off of TSM. And then one day out of nowhere, this stock named Sava kind of dropped into my lap over Squawk, actually. It was a Squawk that alerted me. Yeah, Benzinga. I'm saying Benzinga officially launched me into outer space. Benzinga really did. I heard that Squawk. I heard it once, and it didn't quite register. And then it was repeated again, and then I heard exactly what it said, and I immediately realized what the news on Sava implied. And I went back and I looked at everything real quick. I'm like, oh my God, this is a breakthrough solution. I'm going to jump on it. And I jumped on it, got in on the day that it exploded. I got in at 55 and went all the way to 117. I made a ton of mistakes in between it going up and going down because I was still a noob. But I think actually that I ended up making money on at least that era of Sava trading. But I love the bios. I love the bios.
So tell us, like, what is your strategy exactly?
My strategy is more technical, right? But I do want to have some fundamental knowledge about the company. I want to be able to understand what they do. I want to be able to understand how well they're run. I want to be able to understand the potentials, and I want to understand what they've shown, right? So I want to know some of those things. And when for example, Sava, I went back and I researched. The very first thing was the market on Alzheimer's drugs, because I always knew that the drugs available for Alzheimer's were practically garbage, right? That's what I always knew, that they are basically not very effective, if at all effective, and even that's debatable whether they're effective at all. And now what I'm seeing here in this Sava print is that the data shows that not only did their drug actually significantly slow down the progression of the disease, but it actually increased the amount of cognition in the patient. Increasing cognition has something that has never been shown in any other trial of drug for Alzheimer's.
Right.
And so, right, so I got to know, and I'm like, the potential here, and they're already deep into their testing. So I'm like, I know that this is, going to be breakthrough if they can get it approved. When Biogen got its, for lack of a better term, piece of crap approved, I think that set a precedent for what's expected out of an Alzheimer's drug at bare minimum. And Sava was like several steps ahead of that. And I've been trading this thing practically every day since then.
So how do you trade it technically?
Okay, how do I technically?
Yeah, I'm gonna bring up your charts here. So we got a lot of charts on the screen. I don't know if Sava is all of them actually. So.
All right. So my current setup here, I always like to have at least 1 year's worth of Fibonacci information of a Fibonacci retracement on the 1 week graph, and then that will populate everything else. So I just like to see what's going on overall with the company, how it's behaved. Maybe look at some really strong support or resistance or entry levels here with a 200, a 65, a 15, and a 9 EMA listed here, and as well as the Fibonacci ones, for me to just get a sense for possible points of inflection, possible points where there's a serious change in the way the behavior of the map goes, of the graph goes, right? So I begin with that, and then I start adding a couple more things. As you can see, as my charts go, I begin to add pivot points over here to further give me more ideas of where I should be paying attention to in terms of price ranges. And then when it's time to actually act or behave, I'm looking for momentum. I'm looking at the candles. I'm looking at what they look like. I'm looking at how buyers and sellers are changing their prices in level 2 and trying to get a sense for how much more do the buyers want it than the sellers, or vice versa, right? So I try to figure that out by looking. Again, when it comes to, like, for example, these candles don't lie as far as what the market wants you to do. And I swear to God, I can't believe I did not truly understand until not too long ago how these candles work. My brain was confused because of so many uses of closes and opens. I always thought that it meant like the close and the open of the stock from open, like 6 a.m. for me, or 6:30 a.m. for me, to like 1 p.m. for me, right? That's what I thought that it meant, but it made no sense. And I'm like, what are you talking about? But I still got to get a sense for what they were telling me, or what's good to see or what's bad to see. Eventually I figured, okay, like, for example, let me zoom in on one of these green candles that I saw over here, and let me tell you what I would see. Let me go ahead. All right. So like, for example, this green candle here, this is where we began, right? And this is where we ended. At some point during that entire candle period, we went from here to down here, all right?
Right.
So we sold off. But after that happened, we just went on a crazy run past our previous open and went all the way on this crazy run right here. So what does that tell you about the momentum? We have people rushing to get into this stock. So this has an upper momentum, and at that point,
right,
that's
one 15-minute period.
Yeah, it's one 15-minute period, and at that point, I can kind of, that combined with like level 2 data, I'm trying to figure out the momentum of the stock. Does this thing want to go up, or does this thing want to go down? Where are the sellers at? Where are the buyers at? And so I tend then to focus on some level 2. Maybe I can share that. Let me get my level 2 over here, even though it's not going to show us much. Let me share that screen here. And can I share a partial screen?
Yeah.
This one does contain some.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. I wouldn't share.
Okay, yeah. Okay. So we'll let go of it. Just trust me on the Let me see if I can detach and show you. Okay, looks like I could detach. Okay, let me drag this over here. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right, perfect. All right, so unfortunately, it's not. It's real time. So right now, there's nothing going on. But what I like to see, as far as like trying to tell if the momentum is going up towards a higher price, is to see both of these sides continually change to green. Right? Green in at least in Thinkorswim. At least in Thinkorswim, green means that the bids have been changed from a lower amount to a higher amount. So that goes both for the seller and the buyer, right? So if you have both things consistently changing green in this trading period, then you know that the value of the stock wants to head in the upward direction. If you have people on the sell side starting going from green to red, and the same thing on the sell side going from green to red, you know that people are lowering their prices. The sellers are trying to just sell off. They're not interested in holding this anymore. The buyers aren't really willing to pay too much for it, and so it's likely now then to go down, right? And so that's kind of how I'm looking at things. I'm looking at the relative curvature here of for example, this. I'm looking at, so if momentum is defined by mass times velocity, its first derivative is the velocity. It's actually the acceleration, how fast the velocity is moving. Basically, it's like going from 0 to 60 miles an hour. That measures your acceleration. But basically here, what you're seeing is that although we're going down, not only are we going down, but the rate at which we're going down is increasing. But now look at what's happening here. We're going down, we're going down, we're going down, but how fast we go down starts to slow down.
So is that like an entry point for you if you see that downward movement start slowing down?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. The point, actually, I like to look at my support and resistance levels for points on which I can enter, and I start there, and I always titrate up or down. But that's right. Basically, I'm trying to look for the point of which this starts to settle, but along the way, I'll be buying little chunks of stock in case I'm wrong.
I'm curious because you're a statistics professor. How do you incorporate that kind of knowledge? Because the statistics is a natural fit for investing and doing research. So I'm curious how you incorporate that.
So fair warning, I'm not a data scientist.
Okay.
I don't do analytics. I'm not that good. Very smart people do that stuff. I just haven't learned it. I really have been wanting to learn it, and I'm sure I'm going to dive deeper into that probably within the next year. But like, for example, there's this whole idea in statistics. Basically, the basis of all statistics is looking at variation. How different are things? Because if you wanted to predict something about the typicalness of a population, right? Something typical about people from LA or whatever. If you have a lot of different people, the chances of you getting something that is representative of that city is going to be very low because there's a lot of variances between everybody that lives here. If you lived in a more homogeneous town, then you have a better likelihood where people aren't that different from each other. You have a better likelihood of being able to pick out some attribute that those people share in general. So this idea of variance is fundamental to statistics. And when I see very large candles, right, candles that are flowing all kinds of crazy, from crazy bottoms or from crazy beginning points to just dropping here or things like this, what I see is a long spread of prices and therefore a whole lot more variability. When you have variability, a lot of variability, it's very hard to predict what's going to happen next. You can predict it, but the chances of you actually being correct in your prediction are not going to be very good, right? And
Not
you need to have a
high p-value.
Exactly. There you go. See?
Oh, wait,
a very high p-value. Exactly. We're already getting along.
Aaron, what does
We're
that
ready.
mean? Aaron, what does that mean?
The p-value. It's
The
related
p-value, I explained it.
It's related to probability.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just checking. I'm just checking to make sure Aaron was paying attention.
Yeah, in my freshman stats class that I never went to. All right, Hector. Well,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to like unload all this stats on you in one shot. And I know it might not be riveting. I think I kind of caught you with the lazy eye, AB, halfway through my rant. But yeah, it's all good. It's all good. It's cool.
That's classic. Yeah. That's right. It's not you. It's him, Hector. It's not you.
But yeah, no, Hector, I think your story is fascinating about having the mathematician statistic background. It kind of, as Spencer said, fits perfectly with, investing and being able to look at the technicals. So yeah, let's, talk about some more things we can do.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching this, drop us a like. But also, like, if you want to be on with us, do what Hector did. All Hector did was he emailed us. He emailed I'll put it on the screen here. shows@benzinga.com. Where's the email? There it is. That's all Hector did. Is he emailed us. Shows@benzinga. You had a conversation. We hopped on a stream. Really wasn't that complicated.
Jason already yelled at me via email.
Already?
Already. I forgot to CC him in one reply.
You gotta reply. You gotta reply.
You gotta reply all, Jason. He gets very angry about that.
Yeah, he did get very angry at that. I felt it through the email.
Yeah.
You're not part of Zinger Nation until you get razzed out.
He always makes things a little bit awkward when he ends up showing up. Randomly, when he randomly just drops in, suddenly things get awkward. I don't know. Like I'm kind of in suspense when I watch the shows.
It's because you never know if he was just yelling at somebody.
Exactly.
Typically, it's Aaron, Bree, or myself, or Rohan or Aaron. Actually, we're all.
It's usually me, but yeah, at least it feels that way to me.
So. Yeah, I know it feels that way to you, but it feels that way to all of us. Spoiler.
Okay. So, now Hector got a little taste of it. So yeah,
part and parcel. That's part of the gig.
Email us at shows@benzinga.com if you have ideas for a good guest on a show. If you want to host a show, if you have any feedback for our shows.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing. I'm sorry.
Go for it.
I also have a friend of mine who actually. So I'm always about getting some fundamentals, enough fundamentals. Yeah. He actually likes to really deep dive on just about every company, and so we dream up ideas together about what to do based on his much deeper dive. So maybe one time we can have him on here as well and talk to him about some of his thoughts. And he's very specific about the topics that he knows about, and he really understands them well.
He does like deep dive fundamental analysis.
Yeah. I mean, he might not call it fundamental analysis. It's kind of more just like, this is what's happening. This is the potential. This is what we got, going on. Maybe not doing discount cash flow, but, you get what I'm saying.
Okay.
I think we have Dr. Scotty Jones in the chat that's asking about your guitars.
Oh, yeah. What about them?
He says he has a Black Mother of Pearl Strat. He says he wants a Gibson SG. I don't know what that means, but it sounds cool.
Yeah, that's sorry. I'm looking at myself and looking at the camera. I'm not used to this, as you can tell. I'm a little older, so I'm not of the YouTube generation. Yeah, that's a Gibson SG. It's the red one right there, the one that has two like horns. That's the Gibson SG, mine is an Epiphone because I bought it before I started trading. So mine is not a Gibson, mine is an Epiphone. But there that is. It's an excellent guitar. I love it.
Is that an 8-track behind you?
It's no, that's not an 8-track. That's a reel-to-reel.
Okay.
I mean, how many tracks it has? I don't know. I think it actually just has 4 tracks, but it isn't the little cassette that you plug into your Pinto.
Okay.
Right? It's not that.
I thought it was. I thought it was my parents had one similar growing up, and
these are actually extremely high quality, like as far as sound is concerned. Yeah, and I do have a cassette player too.
Yeah, nice, very nice.
Awesome.
There we go. And of course, turntable and my G Money golden receiver.
There we go. There we go. All right, guys, smash the like, and you see, come for the stock, stay for the guitars. Hector Garcia, thanks a lot for hanging out with us, man. This was fun.
Thank you for giving me the platform.
Everyone have a
I
good
appreciate you guys.
have a good rest of your night, and
All right, thank you.
see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.
Take care.
Market never stops.
Have a good night, Zinger Nation.
Good night.